All right, folks, we're back for our final segment. Sadly, we're coming to the end. We are talking with best-selling authors C.J. Ellison and Danielle Gavan. C.J. is the author of the upcoming novel Big Game, which will be coming out this April 2012. And Danielle will have Cassiella, the second book of her Abbey of Angels series, coming out in May 2012. Now, ladies, actually I'll start off with C.J. It seems like you've been like writing blogs. When I say blogs, I mean like every time I look online, all I see is CJ and blog. If I put in Google CJ and blog, I would probably come up with about 10,000. Why all the blogs?
You know, I've cut back on them a lot. I was on a lot when I first started writing. It seemed as if everyone told me, if you're going to write, you need to have a blog. You need to build an audience. You need to build your base. This is how you need to do it. And I blindly listened to what everyone had to say. I jumped in both feet with a terrific blog I really enjoyed called Wicked Writers. We had a change of the guard, lots of different people coming and going. For a while there, we had a really steady crew, but we just could not draw readers in. No surprise, since we weren't writing anything that readers were really interested in. We were writing a writer's blog. I tried again with another blog, Write in the Shadows, same type of thing. It was all writers geared toward a writing blog. It took me a lot of time to figure out that if I wanted to reach readers, I had to blog about something that they wanted, which was something interesting to read. And when you're a fiction writer, you need to give them what you know how to do, what you know how to produce, which is fiction work. I don't need to try to do something cute with a recipe or look at this great fashion statement or talk about politics, because that's not what my work is. I needed to be able to reach them on a level that spoke to what my writing was. And creating blogs that geared toward that. Everything Erotic was the first attempt, and it was with erotic content. And it, of course, took off like gangbusters, much more than we ever anticipated. We tried to duplicate it again with another blog that was just going to be doing straight fiction. And by straight, I don't necessarily mean the characters are straight or bi. I mean that it's not erotic content. It was just non-erotic fiction. It could have been anything: fantasy, paranormal, horror, suspense, thriller, as long as we kept it going with some original content. Unfortunately, we weren't able to build a big audience with that one, so fantastical fiction didn't quite make it. We tried again with another one, Digital Digest, where we were also going to put in anthologies with that. But again, that one we were all over the place with. We had a lot of different genres. We had a team of terrific writers, but we were not able to build an audience. It came back down to the old adage that, of course, we have all heard again and again, that sex sells. And the Everything Erotic blog still sits as, out of the 5 or 6 blogs I ever started, as the number one that's always brought in the most readers and the most money. Now when I blog, I blog with one for writers and one for myself personally.
I know where you're coming from, but my genre of science fiction is still a side genre, so I don't know, maybe I'll have to start writing something a little harder or steamier. Now,
there's space opera. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah, David Weber's Honor Harrington series. The Beaufort Saga. Yeah, I've heard about those. I'm not exactly sure I'm into that yet, but I'm getting there. Now, as our time is winding down, I'm going to ask you guys to give some advice to our listeners. CJ, what advice would you give to aspiring writers for just to start writing and getting published?
Wow. I think my best advice is not necessarily to try to self-publish your own book. The best advice I could give is don't listen to other writers. I know that's probably against the grain of what everyone's going to say. You're going to get so much conflicting advice. If you really want to know if your work is any good and if it's going to make it, you need to talk to readers. You need to go to where the readers are, and you need to interact with them. You need to make sure that your work is worthy. And you need to have a really good editor. And then you need another one and another one. Don't ever think that one pass of your manuscript is enough for you to self-publish it or to send it to a small press. It's got to be cleaner than clean, beyond clean.
Danielle, now, something along the line of affiliate tours, what advice would you give to prospective writers that, things that they can do before they come to you, to help market themselves better?
I think some of that ties into what CJ was saying, and talking to readers, building up a base that way, getting into everywhere you can, where you can get into talking to your readers, building up that fan base, so that when you do eventually when your book is published, or if you do it yourself, when you eventually go to promote the book, that you have someone to promote it to, that you're not just sending it out into the ether and on a wing and a prayer, hoping that somebody will go read that blog and go out and buy your book. You're having that fan base before you do any type of promotion or before you even publish the book is the most important part. To do that, some blogs are good. Having a personal blog, I know for me, it was something that I did. It's not something I keep up a whole lot of. As CJ said, a lot of readers, they really don't care. They won't read it, and it depends on your content as well. Some of them are interested in seeing what you're doing on a daily basis. Some of them, it's not important to them. They want to see stuff about what you're doing in terms of your writing. They don't care that you took the kids to school at 5 o'clock this morning, or that you got up with them at 5 o'clock this morning, or things like that. Having a strong Twitter or Facebook presence, I know for CJ and I, that's something that's been incremental and it's been really important for our careers at least. We're both all over the place on both of them. So.
And then readers and listeners, you can go and just search for Danielle Gavan, Gavan, or CJ Ellison, that's Ellisson on Facebook, and you'll certainly be able to find them there. Now, one last thing I do have to ask this question, CJ, and I'll understand if you don't want to answer because it is rather personal. Okay?
Sure.
Is it true that you once threatened to rip off another writer's arms and beat him to death with it?
You know what? He really had it coming. I had just started this blog, and oh my gosh, this punk, he came on board. He thought he knew it all. What did he do? He did not post on the very second day of the blog, his first day out. Now, I tell you, doesn't that deserve a threat?
You know, personally, I can only think of one writer who could probably make someone angry enough to make that kind of a threat. And I'm just hoping it. I'm glad you said it involved the blog and not anything like deer ticks. All right, looks like we are out of time now. I want to thank my guests, ladies. I want to thank you both again for joining us on What's Out There. And CJ, your books, Vampire Vacation and The Hunt, can both be found on Amazon. Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com, among other places, right?
Yes.
And the fact that they go to those sites and they just search for CJ Ellison, they're going to see all these.
Well, if they spell the name right, they'll find it. Yeah, 2 L's, 2 S's. If not, it has to be in the title. Yeah.
And they can also go to CJEllison.com, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and your latest book in the Vampire Vacation series will be Big Game, and it is coming out in April of 2012 of this year.
Yes, that's right. And thank you for having me, Greg. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, no problem. Danielle, your company is Philia Book Tours, and I believe it is in beautiful, now, how do you pronounce it? Guelph? Guelph?
No, it's Guelph.
Guelph. I knew it. I was saying Guelph all day, and then I get to the time to do the show, and I say Guelph, like Tolkien. Okay, in Guelph, Ontario, Canada. Mm-hmm. Right, and for the listeners, they can find the company online at Philia Book Tours. That's PHILIA booktours.com. And you also have your own personal website, www.DanielleGavan, Gavan for Gavin, DanielleGavan.com.
Yeah, and .com or .net.
And the other .net?
Yeah.
Okay, .net. All right, and your next work is going to be Cassiella. That's book 2 of the Abbey of Angels series. That's coming out May 2012.
That's correct.
All right.
And it's available everywhere.
Available everywhere. That's good.
Yeah.
Your stuff can also be found on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, most of the major booksellers.
All right. Well, that will do it. I am sad to see this end. We've had 2 fascinating and intelligent guests, which we always want to have. But for myself and the crew that's back in the studio, I want to again thank them. And ladies, hope we can have you on again. And that will do it, folks. For Rob Francis and the crew, I am Robinson Edward Zering, and we hope to see you right back here for another episode of What's Out There.